Welcome to this scientific lecture on self-assembled monolayers and molecular junctions. Today, we'll explore how molecules spontaneously organize into ordered films and how these structures enable molecular scale electronics. Let's start with a fundamental question. What exactly are self-assembled monolayers, or SAMs? Self-assembled monolayers are ordered molecular films that form spontaneously when molecules adsorb onto a surface. The key word here is spontaneous. These structures form without external intervention. The classic example is alkanethiols on gold surfaces. These sulfur-containing molecules have a remarkable affinity for gold substrates. Here's a schematic of a self-assembled monolayer. We have the gold substrate at the bottom. The sulfur atoms, shown in yellow, bind strongly to the gold. The green chains represent the alkane backbones, and the red spheres are the terminal functional groups. To understand SAM formation, we need to look at the molecular structure of the precursor molecules. A typical SAM-forming molecule has three parts: the head group that binds to the surface, a backbone that provides structure, and a terminal group that determines surface properties. Here's a single molecule. The sulfur head group is at the bottom, ready to bind to gold. The hydrocarbon backbone extends upward, and the terminal group at the top can be modified to tune surface chemistry. Now let's discuss the fundamental process that drives SAM formation: chemisorption. Chemisorption is the formation of a chemical bond between the molecule and the substrate. This is different from physisorption, which involves only weak van der Waals forces. For thiols on gold, a strong sulfur-gold covalent bond forms. This bond has energy around 40 to 50 kilocalories per mole, making it very stable. The chemical reaction is RSH plus gold yields RS gold plus 1/2 H2. The thiol loses its hydrogen, and the sulfur bonds directly to the gold surface. This bond strength is what makes these monolayers so robust and stable under ambient conditions. Let me pose a question. How do these molecules go from a disordered solution to a perfectly ordered monolayer? Step 1. Molecules dissolved in solvent approach the gold surface. This can happen from liquid or vapor phase. Step 2. The sulfur head groups find available gold binding sites and chemisorb. This is the initial anchoring step. Step 3. Once attached, molecules can still diffuse laterally on the surface. They move around to find energetically favorable positions. Step 4. As more molecules adsorb, van der Waals forces between the hydrocarbon chains drive them to pack tightly together, forming an ordered structure. Here's the final assembled structure. Notice how the molecules are tilted at an angle. This tilt angle, typically around 30 degrees from the surface normal, maximizes van der Waals interactions between neighboring chains. The packing of molecules in a SAM is remarkably crystalline. Let's examine this in detail. The gold surface, specifically the 111 crystal face, has hexagonal symmetry. This dictates how molecules can pack. Alkanethiols form a hexagonal lattice on gold 111 with a spacing of about 5 angstroms between molecules. This is incredibly dense packing. This diagram shows the top view of the hexagonal packing. Each yellow circle represents a sulfur atom bonded to the gold surface. The spacing between neighboring molecules is approximately 5 angstroms. The precise lattice spacing is 4.97 angstroms, determined by the gold substrate structure and optimized van der Waals interactions. The tilt angle is one of the most important structural parameters in SAMs. Why do molecules tilt? Molecules tilt away from the surface normal to maximize van der Waals interactions between neighboring alkane chains. If they stood perfectly upright, the chains would be too far apart. For typical alkanethiols on gold, the tilt angle is approximately 30 degrees from the surface normal. Interestingly, the tilt direction alternates between neighboring molecules, forming what's called a herringbone structure. This further stabilizes the monolayer. The chain length affects the tilt angle. Longer chains generally have smaller tilt angles because the increased van der Waals interactions can overcome the geometric constraints. How do we actually measure these structures? Several powerful techniques exist. Contact angle measurements tell us about the terminal group chemistry. A hydrophobic terminal group gives a high contact angle, while hydrophilic groups give low angles. The lipsometry measures the film thickness with angstrom-level precision by analyzing polarized light reflection. For a C18 thiol, we expect about 25 angstroms thickness. Infrared spectroscopy, particularly reflection absorption infrared spectroscopy, or RAIRS, reveals the orientation and conformational order of the alkane chains. Scanning tunneling microscopy, or STM, can actually image individual molecules in the monolayer, showing the hexagonal packing and tilt directions. Now let's transition to molecular electronics. This is where SAMs become truly exciting as functional electronic components. Molecular electronics aims to use single molecules or small ensembles of molecules as the active elements in electronic devices. Imagine a transistor made from a single molecule. SAMs provide a beautifully controlled interface between molecules and metal electrodes, making them ideal platforms for molecular electronics research. Here's the basic architecture of a molecular junction. We have a bottom electrode, typically gold. The molecule bridges between the bottom and top electrodes. When we apply a voltage, current can flow through the molecule ITS. Creating these junctions is experimentally challenging. Let me describe several approaches. Method 1 is the mechanically controllable break junction. You start with a gold wire, break it under controlled conditions, and catch molecules in the gap. This allows single molecule measurement. Method 2 uses an STM tip. You form a contact between the tip and substrate through molecules, then slowly pull the tip away while measuring current. This creates a junction with one or a few molecules. Method 3 involves crossed wires or nanopores. You deposit a SAM on one electrode, then carefully deposit a second electrode on top. This typically probes many molecules simultaneously. Method 4 is conducting probe AFM, or carbon monophosphide-AFM. A conducting AFM tip contacts the SAM, and you measure current as a function of applied force and voltage. Now, how does current flow through these molecular junctions? The answer is quantum tunneling. For non-conjugated molecules like alkanes, electrons don't have available energy levels to occupy. Instead, they quantum mechanically tunnel through the molecular barrier. The tunneling current depends exponentially on distance. I is proportional to E to the negative beta d, where d is the barrier width, and beta is the tunneling decay constant. For alkanes, beta is approximately 0.8 to 1.0 per angstrom. This means the current drops by about a factor of 2 for each additional methylene unit. A key question: how do we know we're measuring a single molecule? We look for quantized conductance values and use statistical analysis of thousands of junction formations. This is a conductance histogram. We form and break thousands of junctions. The histogram shows peaks at specific conductance values, with the most prominent peak corresponding to single-molecule junctions. One of the most fascinating aspects of molecular electronics is how molecular structure affects conductance. Conjugation, where pi electrons are delocalized along the molecule, dramatically increases conductance. Conjugated molecules can conduct millions of times better than saturated alkanes of the same length. Let's compare. A 10-carbon alkane might have a conductance of 10 to the minus 8 Siemens. A conjugated oligophenylene of similar length could have conductance of 10 to the minus 4 Siemens, 10,000 times higher. The conductance of conjugated molecules is much greater than saturated molecules. The difference can span many orders of magnitude. The anchor group chemistry is crucial. Thiol anchors provide moderate coupling. Amine anchors give weaker coupling and lower conductance. Directly bonded carbon anchors give the strongest coupling. Can we make molecules that switch between different conductance states? The answer is yes, and this is incredibly exciting. Molecules can switch conductance through several mechanisms. Conformational changes, changes in charge state through redox reactions, or spin state transitions can all modulate conductance. Photochromic molecules, like azobenzenes, can switch between trans and cis isomers upon light irradiation. These different conformations have different conductances, creating an optically controlled switch. Here's a photochromic switch. UV light converts the trans isomer with high conductance to the cis isomer with low conductance. Visible light reverses the process. This creates a reversible molecular switch. Redox-active molecules containing ferrocene or viologen units can be electrochemically switched between different oxidation states, each with distinct conductance. Despite tremendous progress, molecular electronics faces significant challenges. What are the major obstacles? Challenge 1 is reproducibility. The metal-molecule contact is often the main source of resistance and variability. Achieving consistent, well-defined contacts remains difficult. Challenge 2 is stability. Many molecular junctions are fragile and degrade quickly under ambient conditions or at elevated temperatures. This limits practical applications. Challenge 3 is integration. How do we connect billions of molecular devices together like we do with silicon transistors? Addressing individual molecules in a large array is extremely challenging. Challenge 4 is fundamental understanding. We still don't fully understand all the factors controlling molecular conductance, especially when molecules have complex conformational flexibility or strong electron correlations. Let me briefly mention some advanced phenomena that go beyond simple tunneling. In very long conjugated molecules, transport can transition from tunneling to hopping. Electrons hop between localized states, and the conductance becomes temperature dependent. Molecular junctions can exhibit thermoelectric effects. A temperature gradient across the junction generates a voltage, characterized by the Seebeck coefficient. This enables molecular scale energy harvesting. Quantum interference can dramatically suppress or enhance conductance, depending on how the molecular orbital structure couples to the electrodes. Destructive interference can make conductance orders of magnitude lower than expected. The total conductance is given by G equals G0 times the sum of transmission probabilities Tn, where G0 is the quantum of conductance and the sum is over all available transport channels. We distinguish between coherent transport, where phase information is preserved, and incoherent transport, where scattering destroys phase coherence. The crossover between these regimes is an active research area. What are the potential applications of this research? Where is the field heading? One promising application is molecular sensors. A molecular junction's conductance can be exquisitely sensitive to its chemical environment, enabling single-molecule detection of analytes. Switchable molecules could serve as ultra-dense memory elements. Imagine storing one bit of information in a single molecule, the ultimate limit of data storage density. Beyond applications, molecular junctions provide fundamental tests of quantum mechanics at the nanoscale. We can probe electron transfer, quantum coherence, and many body effects in well-defined molecular systems. This research also informs our understanding of biological electron transfer. Proteins conduct electrons through mechanisms similar to what we study in molecular junctions. Let me emphasize some key experimental considerations for anyone wanting to work in this field. Substrate preparation is absolutely critical. Gold substrates must be atomically flat and clean. Even small amounts of contamination will disrupt monolayer formation. Solution conditions matter. Solvent choice, concentration, and immersion time all affect the final SAM structure. Typical protocols use millimolar solutions in ethanol with overnight immersion. Preventing oxidation is crucial. Many measurements are performed in inert atmosphere or under solvent to prevent oxidation of the SAM or electrodes during junction formation. Statistical analysis is essential. Because of junction-to-junction variability, we need to measure hundreds or thousands of junctions and use statistical methods to extract meaningful conductance values. Let's summarize the key concepts we've covered in this lecture. Self-assembled monolayers form through chemisorption of molecules to surfaces, followed by lateral organization driven by intermolecular forces. This creates ordered, crystalline molecular films. The structure involves specific tilt angles and dense hexagonal packing. These parameters are determined by the balance between molecule surface bonding and intermolecular van der Waals forces. Molecular junctions enable measurement of electron transport through single molecules or small ensembles. Various junction geometries allow probing different aspects of molecular conductance. Electron transport occurs primarily through quantum tunneling, in short, non-conjugated molecules, with the current decaying exponentially with molecular length. Structure-conductance relationships guide the design of molecular wires and switches. Conjugation, anchor groups, and molecular conformation all play crucial roles. Molecular switches demonstrate that conductance can be reversibly modulated through external stimuli like light, voltage, or chemical signals, opening possibilities for functional molecular devices. Let me conclude with some open questions that remain at the frontier of this field. Can we achieve stable, reproducible molecular devices that function at room temperature over long periods? This requires solving both fundamental and engineering challenges. How do we integrate molecular electronics with existing silicon technology? Hybrid approaches may offer the best path forward in the near term. What new physics will emerge as we gain better control over molecular junctions? Strong coupling, quantum coherence, and many-body effects remain incompletely understood. Ultimately, can molecules offer functionality or performance that truly exceeds conventional electronics? Or will their value lie in enabling entirely new types of devices? This field beautifully combines chemistry, physics, and engineering. Progress requires expertise across disciplines and creative thinking about how to manipulate matter at the ultimate limit, one molecule at a time. Thank you for your attention. I hope this lecture has given you a solid foundation in self-assembled monolayers and molecular junctions. These systems represent some of the most exciting frontiers in nanoscience and molecular electronics.